All right, well, welcome back, everybody. So first and foremost, I'm going to try to get this video done and rushed out before the holidays. So wanted to wish you and yours, a happy Thanksgiving. We've all got stuff that we can be thankful for. Lord knows I have plenty, and I'm thankful for y'all watching, supporting the channel, and allowing me to make an attempt to do this YouTube thing. So I just wanted to get that out there. So what we're going to try to do, just ran to the store. Lord, I've been spending a pile of money, and got some tin and some timbers and all kinds of stuff, screws, you name it, because we are going to attempt to start the roof on the storm shelter. I've been playing with lots of ideas, talking with y'all, and the more I got thinking about it, I think I was trying to make it a little over complicated. I'm going to do this strong, but I'm not going to go overboard like I was thinking. So we'll go ahead and get all this stuff on the tractor, get it over. We'll start today, maybe wrap it up tomorrow. We've got to do a little bit of traveling for the holidays. So hopefully I can get this video done and out to y'all. So let's get started. All right, so I talked with a lot of y'all about coating this roof, and I was pretty adamant that I was going to do that with some kind of asphalt coating or rubberized coating. But the problem is, I went to the store today, and this store had a tremendous amount of coating options. Every single one I read, only one said it was able to bond to wood. The other problem is, I got to reading online and started getting a bit nervous. A lot of people were saying putting certain types of those liquid coatings on top of plywood can cause it to delaminate. That may or may not be true, but it kind of scared me enough that I decided I am not going to coat this roof. I can wind up overbuilding this, and I think I'm starting to get to the point of doing that. So what I'm going to do is a very low-pitched roof here. I'm going to do a bunch of rafters. I ain't doing 24 inches apart. We're probably going to go somewhere between 12 to 16 inches apart. Do a lot of screws, a lot of reinforcement for the tin, and I truly think that's going to be okay. I'm going to use hurricane clips and straps everywhere to make sure my rafters do not go anywhere. I think I'm going to be good. I don't think I'm ever going to have to worry about water getting on this portion. And the more I got to thinking about it, with me caulking the one joint that's up here, the corners are caulked. If the roof ever does blow off and we're in here, the most important thing is that this structure keeps us, away from impacts. It'll do that. I think if this were to get wet one time in the storm before I could repair the roof, I don't see any for significant damage. And if I had to rip this plywood off, I could do that or layer over it again. But I just think I was trying to overbuild it with all the coating. So we're gonna go ahead and measure. I'm gonna show what I'm gonna do. I'm actually gonna do a pretty simple roof, but the way I'm gonna reinforce it, I don't think it's going anywhere. And if I lose a piece of tin or two, I'll put the tin back. And I'm gonna answer some other questions that y'all have had, like venting, how we're gonna anchor this down. I know there's a lot of concerns there, but I'm far from done, and all that's been on my mind. So we'll get to it. All right, as far as my rafters go, I am going to screw every one of them into the top down here and up there. Then I'm going to take some of these hurricane clips and I am going to tie down every single rafter with one of these. So kind of a little bit of overkill, but that's what I need on a structure like this. And I don't think these are going anywhere. And like I said, I'm not going to space them out 24 inches, which you could probably get away with on any style shed. I'm still going to go crunch some numbers, but I'm probably going to do them from 12, 16, 18 inches, somewhere in that range. But I want to make much tighter spacing. And you can see I did like a main header board up here for instead of building a traditional style truss, because I've got such a low pitch here. I really like doing that design. I've done lag bolted it in with 8 lag bolts that you've just seen me to do, and I've still got some Simpson strong tie straps that I'm going to put on that. So none of this should be able to lift off at all. I mean, not at all. All right, y'all, so not only did I lag bolt with 8-inch screws this center beam down, then I'm coming back and shooting 3-inch screws into the trusses, as well as I still got to come back and finish all these. I'm putting hurricane clips on the trusses as well. Now I'm coming back and tie strapping down this center beam, even though it most likely does not need it, with these Simpson hurricane straps right here. All right, so now what I'm doing with the strap, I've nailed it into this beam because nails will hold with a load pulling that way, but I am not wanting to nail at least these first 3 into the roof because nails will pull up pretty easily vertically. So now I'm taking 3-inch long screws and holding this strap down. And I like to go ahead and nail into the timber first, leaving a small gap. And then when I screw down, it just cinches this beam down even tighter. All right, so I just got back from the store and bought plywood. I tend to prefer plywood for a roof over OSB, but we're in such a weird time right now that the plywood was actually cheaper than the OSB, so just strange. So what I'm doing is I'm shooting 3-inch screws around the edge, because that's most likely where it could lift to hold it down. Then I'm gonna come back with some roofing nails every so often and kind of stagger every so often with some screws, mainly just because roofing nails are cheap, and because what I didn't show was all the trusses that I laid this plywood on, I liquid nailed. So ultimately you're going to wind up having essentially like a wood glue holding this down. So all the nails are really doing is cinching this down until the wood glue holds. So this is not going anywhere. This is above and beyond what you would ever do for a home. So you can see the glue squeezing out right there. This ain't going nowhere. Well, y'all, looking at the sun, we are going to have to stop this video. I am losing daylight fast. So we'll go ahead and talk about a few things real quick, and I think we're going to make the roof a part 1 and part 2. Obviously this being part 1, because we still got to do some underlayment. We still got to do the tin and close the ends in. And I have a really neat tool that I want to show y'all on, you know, something new that I got. So kind of excited about that. So I think we need to make a second series here. As far as the roof goes, got all the, you know, trusses screwed down, nailed in. I mean, they're not going anywhere. I got 3-inch screws in them. I've got hurricane clips on them. Got them screwed into this 2x10 header. It's solid. Walking around up there, it is so solid. I'm not seeing this roof getting torn off. Actually, I was going to do the tin just straight to the 2x4 rafters, but I decided to go run and get some CDX plywood, even though it's outrageous. It just seemed like the right thing to do. I can get more screws in the tin. And then I got to thinking, you know, now I'm concerned about the plywood potentially lifting and pulling off in a bad storm. So what I decided to do, I did overkill there. Not only did I glue it down to the 2x4 rafters, I nailed it in every probably 6 inches and probably 4 inches all the way around the edges where it could lift. Then I went back in strategic spots, like along the edge, a row through the middle, and a row up top with 3-inch screws and screwed it down into the 2x4s. It's just not going nowhere. I mean, there's just no way. I don't foresee this roof ever getting ripped off. And because I'm building it so strong like this, that's why I started determining that I just didn't want to do no coating underneath. I just don't know that I'll ever foresee this getting ripped off. And if it does, it does. We're still protected inside, and I might just have to deal with a little bit of water damage. Hindsight's 2020. I wish I hadn't have cut the 4x8 sheets of plywood off on this end, so they would have been solid, but it is what it is. I didn't think about that before I cut it off flush with the roof. So we're going to come back and close this end in with some 3/4 inch ply, you know, put it right on top of these sheets and nail it up there, so that will also structurally hold this down. Got to put some 2x4s or something there to really tile this end in. So both ends are going to get locked in with plywood as well. It's just going to be really strong. Got a pretty neat idea of how I'm going to build my own venting system on the interior. I wanted to make for sure that this roof gets plenty of air and venting. That's why I left some pretty large gaps on either side up top to vent out through the ridge cap. But I want good flow underneath and I'll explain why right now. All right, so obviously I can't carry you on inside to show you, but I've had a couple common questions as this little build series has started. And one of the last one is a very good question is, what are you gonna do for ventilation inside? Obviously this is so well sealed off inside. If we were staying there for hours and hours through a hurricane, oxygen levels could get extremely low and we could risk, dying. So I've always planned on venting it. If you look at the plans down below, they call for putting PVC, drilling holes through the wall, putting PVC with elbows down, because you got to understand the plans for this were never designed to be built outside. They were designed to be built in the basement. That's why they don't even have roof plans or nothing with it. I had to come up with this on my own. And that's why they don't care if you do PVC elbows and the way it looks. I'm going to actually vent it from the inside up through the roof. That's why I'm leaving excellent ventilation and flow through. And you'll see once I start building, my ventilation off the sides here. But I come up with a pretty cool idea. What I think I'm going to do is actually drill some PVC up through the roof on the inside, probably some, 2-inch PVC, something I can go through with a paddle bit every so often, cover it with vents, make it look nice. That'll actually be vented up through the roof. And then in this back corner, I'm actually going to put in a 6-inch exhaust fan, like for a bathroom. But I found a real neat one that's round that I can cut a hole, it'll slip right in. So at any point as we're sitting out here for long periods of time, and assuming we have power, I can flip that on, it'll pull a tremendous amount of fresh air in very, very quickly. Now if we're without power, I can crack the door open for just a minute, let some airflow in and go back out, because if we're in the middle of a hurricane, maybe not. I also may put a battery and an inverter in there so I can run without it, but then I'm also going to have generators here. There will only be a short period of time where this storm is so intense that I can't let some airflow in one way or another. But as long as we have power, I'm going to constantly have that fan on, recirculating a tremendous amount of fresh air in there. I also found O2 meters on Amazon. They're like $100 for CO2 and O2 meters that give you full readouts. We used to use those at work, and I'm thinking about getting one of those to put in there too, and it'll actually alarm if your oxygen levels get too low. So then I crack the door, turn the vent fan on. I got multiple options there, so I'm playing around with that, but I'm going to make it ventilated very, very well, and actually do forced ventilation. So kind of excited about that. The second most common question is, everybody's wondering how I'm tying it down. They're thinking, I guess, that I'm just done right now and the little bit of Tapcon screws I put in the base plate. See it? Absolutely not. They're called Simpson Strong Ties HTT5 if you want to look them up. I just went to my local hardware store yesterday and actually found them. I've seen them online, but never seen one in person. And holy moly. I was thinking about building my own tie-down straps out of like some real thick angle iron, but these straps are about 18 bucks a piece, which is the best deal I've found on them. They're about this long, have nail holes all in them about this wide, extremely thick steel. They'll go on the inside about right here, come up the wall about this far. A ton of nails goes in, tying all your bottom timbers together and your plywood. Now the bottom of that strap has a big old, probably 3/4 to 1 inch hole, and it's designed for you to put a 5/8 inch concrete anchor down in it. And I think this plan's call for like 8 or 10 of those all the way around the building. Really heavy duty concrete anchors. Again, this is an 8-inch thick slab down here, and these straps go way up the wall, really locking and holding this structure down. It'll be just about permanently bonded to the slab, along with, don't forget, the base plate was also Tapcon screwed in. So that'll keep the structure from shifting in should anything hit it, as well as it'll keep it from separating from the slab. But again, this is Florida. We're not getting EF5s and 4 tornadoes with several 100-mile-an-hour winds, so I don't foresee us ever separating this structure from the slab or rolling it over. The highest winds we might could ever see is just a little over 100 miles an hour. I mean, if we had worst case scenario, the eye wall of an EF5, or a category 5 hurricane come in, I still don't think we'd be 100 and some odd miles an hour winds right here, because we're not directly on the coast. We're probably 40 miles from it. A lot of trees to slow that wind down before it gets here. So this is definitely overbuilt for the area, but that'll help us feel better while we're in it. So hopefully that answers some of your questions. Again, part 2's coming. We'll get on the roof. I'll show you the new tool that I'm pretty excited about, and we'll wrap this up, and I'll explain where we're going after that. Enjoy your holiday season. We're going to go enjoy ours.